What's going on, y'all? It's Dirt Track Boys back with you again. Um, I know it's been a while since we posted a video on NASCAR news and all that. Um, but I just wanted to come on here and see what y'all think of the Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson deal at Pocono. Um, I'm telling you, I think Denny is making his own enemy. And honestly, if Hamlin can't, stop being his own enemy, I don't know what else to say about that because, I mean, I'm not saying he's not a halfway decent driver, but he's making enemies with every driver out there. I mean, I understand that NASCAR has to have a badass and has to have an enemy, but I don't think that you need to have an enemy every time that you race against. Racing against somebody is completely different, and wrecking them in the fence, is completely uncalled for. Um, I just wanted to see your take on it, and yeah, I don't know, but if y'all would let me know in the comments what you guys think of the Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson debacle. Um, I understand that, everything is changing in NASCAR, but there's always going to be rivals. I mean, in any sport that they have, there's going to be a rivalry. Even there's a rivalry in football. There's a rivalry in racing. And anybody that tells me that racing is not an athletic sport, okay, let's decipher that down. Okay, it may not be a sport to some people, but I'm here to tell you right now that NASCAR racing, any form of racing, takes physical mentality. And everybody that says NASCAR drivers just turn right or turn left all the time, no, it is not true. There's 6 road courses on the NASCAR schedule that they do go left and right, and that's the more physical. There are tracks that are really physically demanding. Pocono's one of them. Bristol is one of them. Talladega, Daytona. Any track that's a mile or longer, like Talladega, Atlanta, Bristol, Pocono, Phoenix, any track like that is, because, okay, I understand there are stage breaks now in NASCAR, but the race is still physically demanding. It's still physically demanding. What I mean by that, I'll break it up for you. When you start up the car and you go for the pace laps on a racetrack, you're basically testing the track to see how well the track's going to hold up. Because every race they come, NASCAR, well, staying with the Cup Series for right now, most of the teams have 20 sets of tires for the weekend. So Saturday to Sunday, they have 20 sets of tires. Depending on what track, usually about 19 to 20 sets for race tires. Now, the rain tires and the dirt tires are different. The dirt tires are a little bit more treaded. The rain tires, now NASCAR has adapted this new deal at short tracks that if it rains, they have to, or if it's a raining weekend, they have to adapt the wiper and the rain tires. Now, it's not, I'm not saying the track can, it's not, the track can be a complete deluge, but if the track is still wet and the race is about to start, you know, they can use the rain tires and then come back, and if the track dries enough, they can come and get slick tires. Now, I've noticed that when they run the rain tires, they hold up a little bit more than the slicks. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Now, going back to the tracks that adapt to that, it's not all your NASCAR tracks. It's only the tracks that are like, a mile or a mile and a third. So, for example, New Hampshire, Richmond, Martinsville, Wilkesboro, if they wanted to do it at Wilkesboro, Richmond, in case it rains, they wanted to do it at Richmond just in case it rained. This weekend we're going to Michigan, which I don't know what to think about that one, because have y'all noticed that anybody that follows me on this channel, and I wish people would follow me a lot more because I'm trying to get I want to get more views on this. I want to try to have this as a podcast to be able to, we can talk about different NASCAR subjects that kind of bug me. For number one, have y'all noticed that there are hardly any night races no more? I mean, we don't have very many night races at all, if any. And, there are tracks that have lights that I don't know why in the world we don't have, a summer night race or a fall night race like we used to. Now, there are talks about they're going to go back to the oval at Indianapolis next year. Lord, I wish they would, because this road course crap at Indy it adapted fine, but I think it's run its course, literally run its course. It's time to go back to the oval in Indy. Now, people say that the oval didn't progress a lot of racing. Okay, but it's time to run the oval back in Indianapolis. And, at Talladega, this starting the race at, 3 o'clock. And, I mean, Talladega's a short race, don't get me wrong. But tracks that don't have lights, like Talladega, Dover, Pocono, the reason that Dover doesn't have, I'm going to tell you, the reason Dover doesn't have lights is because of the airbase not too far from the track. They don't want to deal with the lights because it would interfere with the airplanes coming into the base. and the planes coming in to the airport. Now Pocono doesn't have them because I don't really know the reason. Well, because Pocono doesn't have them because they don't want to have that facility open at night, I think. But there was some other reason I heard that Pocono doesn't have lights. Now Talladega doesn't have them because Talladega doesn't have lights, but I'm talking about the tracks that do have lights. I mean, there are several tracks on the NASCAR circuit that have lights. Nashville, Daytona. And speaking of Daytona, why are we not running speed weeks like we did back in the early 2000s? Why are we running speed day? It's basically 5 days now. Now, I understand that COVID had an effect on that. I totally agree with that. But we're trying to get back in the midst of everything. Now, I understand there are less practices and less qualifying things at tracks. But here, as of now, the qualifying doesn't mean crap anymore. Like, okay, Daytona pole qualifying takes place literally a day before, almost 2 days before the Daytona 500. Back then, not too far ago, long ago, no pun intended, not too long ago, we did have practice, happy hour, the IROC race, the ARCA practice, IROC practice. Now that's another thing. Let's bring back the IROC series. Equally prepared race cars for different drivers of different genres. That's kind of what the SRX series is, I guess. But it's not the same thing. Anyway, back to Daytona. I mean, I remember there used to be 2 weeks leading up to this. 2 weeks leading up to the Daytona 500. You would have Bud Shootout practice, Busch Clash practice. You would have happy hour. I mean, well, you had the random draw for the Bud Shootout, which agreed that the Bud Shootout is not, what it used to be. It took the place of that. But they're not it seems to me like they're trying to get into the track and get out of the track as soon as possible. Now that was the effect during COVID. Basically, you didn't have any practice qualifying. You basically built the car at the shop. You had what you had, and you run the car. If the damn thing blew up, the damn thing blew up. But 2020 was, I wouldn't say a bad year for racing, but it was a different year. It was difficult because before Darlington, there was nobody at the speedway, and they were only going to the tracks. They weren't going to the West Coast. They were only going to the tracks that were in in 100 miles of each other. Like Martinsville, Charlotte, Darlington. They did 2 races at Darlington back then. But anyway, and they did weekly racing. So, enough of that. But my thing is, have y'all noticed that there is less and less practice and qualifying than there used to be at any racetrack? I mean, basically, you'd get to the track on Friday. You'd have, you'd have your morning practice. You'd have your afternoon practice. Then you'd have happy hour. Then you'd have qualifying. But I don't understand why we're not doing that anymore. It just seems to me like, we're getting away from all that. And I understand, we're going to different venues, different places. I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay going to the, different venues. that we've not been to. But I just want to know if y'all have noticed that there are different that NASCAR has taken its COVID protocol, as I would call it, and they've extended it. So basically, 2018 to, I mean, basically basically from 2014 to now, that was the last time we had full on practice at Daytona. That's back when we had, we still had Speed Week, we in our Speed Weeks. But anyway, it's only Speed Days. It's not Speed Week anymore. It's just, and what I miss is the preseason NASCAR Thunder, because that would give drivers with new teams a chance to come out and test up in Daytona in January, get our hype up. But I mean, I'm still excited about Daytona. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Daytona is the Super Bowl of auto racing. But I think it's time that we run our course at LA. At LA Memorial Coliseum. I think we need to go back into. I think NASCAR needs to go back to the drawing board and really focus on. If I was an NASCAR exec, I'd tell you I'd bring back practice and qualifying, because practice and qualifying is most important. And this 20-minute practice and then 20-minute qualifying and this round shit, no, get rid of that round shit. One car on track, 2 laps. Get what you get. You get the warm-up lap, you get 2 laps. Don't put in this round shit. This round qualifying, no. It's so bullshit. I mean, if you ain't good, understand their tracks, they don't do that. But get rid of this round qualifying, because, if you still have this round qualifying, it's a waste of time. And just one car on track, 2 laps. Warm up lap, fired up, 1 car on track, 2 laps. Not this 1 car on, because you can't do anything in a lap, especially Talladega, Daytona, because you got the tapered spacer. And whoever thought about this tandem drafting, oh my God. Let's bring back the bump and run at, now, another thing that gets under my skin. Bristol Motor Speedway. Quit dirting it. Undirt it. You don't dirt Bristol. You don't date your best friend's girl, and you don't dirt Bristol. You just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Get away from the dirt in Bristol. Dirt in Bristol is stupid. I don't know why we do it. It was cool. It was cool maybe 2 times. But you keep dirting it, you're going to keep running it. Another thing. Bring back Bristol the way it was back in the day. Bring Bristol back to the way it was back in the mid-90s and early 90s. Bristol ain't never been a 2-groove racetrack. I don't know how in the world we've gone from a single groove racetrack where you basically run the bottom, and if you try to run the top, you get your ass put in the fence. Make Bristol that 1-groove racetrack. At least have 1 track that we go to that ain't completely mucked up. I think what we need to do, I think we need to tear the concrete out of Bristol again, and and I think we need to tear the concrete out of Bristol and redo it. Because this single groove crap, this two groove shit, basically you put on that progressive banking, or that whatever crap they use for that. It has made the racing so complex that it ain't Bristol no more. It ain't Bristol Motor Speedway. It don't matter what people say. Yeah, Bristol's Bristol. No, it's not. Bristol ain't. Bristol has not been Bristol since they screwed up the track in 2008. Now, I know that's going back a few years, but 2007 was the last time that we run at Bristol with the single groove. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, understand me or whatever, but the old saying from DW, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, the All-Star race, ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep it in North Carolina. Now, granted, I understand that, Speedway Motorsports does not own Rockingham. Or Speedway SMI, Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, does not own Rockingham. But we need our North Carolina tracks. We need our Carolinas. Because NASCAR's full basis is in the North Carolina area. 90% of your race teams are either in Welcome, North Carolina, Mooresville, Charlotte area. There is one Craftsman Truck Series team that's in Sandusky, Ohio, and that's Thor Sport that Haley Deegan drives for. And Matt Crafton and, I can't remember the other guy's name. Anyway, Ben Rhodes, I think. I think he drives for Thor Sport. But anyway, let's bring back our Carolinas and let's keep Bristol the way it ought to be. Because I can't even believe I'm about to say this. The last few years, I have been bored to death of Bristol Motor Speedway because it ain't the track that I remember. Basically, I started watching racing almost 40 years ago. I started watching racing in February the 12th, 1988. But what I can't understand is we have basically went to the dust ages and have gone away from our roots. I get going to the West Coast has been a good thing. I can't even believe that, but it has been. But let's keep our roots where they need to be kept at. Keep the Carolinas. We didn't just get a $2.5 million grant for Rockingham and for North Wilkesboro. Now, North Wilkesboro has been completely refabricated. But Rockingham, it seems like it's been talked over forever since the last time NASCAR raced there, which was 2004. Now, granted, Rockingham has put on some pretty impressive races. But it's time to bring the Rock back. Because winning at Rockingham meant you got to take home a piece of the rock. That was the trophy, was a Rockingham trophy. And, you know, everything changes so fast. Everything changes with technology. Everything changes with racing. And I just think that it's time that we bring back, you know, the single groove at Bristol. Bring back speed weeks in Daytona. You know, I mean, not cram everything up into 6 days. I mean, why is NASCAR doing that? You know, I don't understand that. I'm not an executive on the NASCAR board. I don't understand why we are cramming literally everything into 6 days. I mean, yeah, they go to the LA Coliseum for the Clash. Well, you know what? It's time we get away from that. It's time we come back to our roots, basically. And Daytona's back to our roots. You know, Daytona's where it all has been, where it's all started at. And that track's building was built in 1959. Same year my mom was born. So, when we raced at Daytona, we had, because there were 2 weeks that we had at Daytona. I'm not, you know, all these new NASCAR fans don't know that. But there was a time at Daytona, there were 2 weeks at Daytona. You had practices, you had happy hour, you had Daytona pole qualifying, you had the Busch Clash or the shootout, and it was at night. Let's bring back night races at the tracks that have lights. Like, for God's sakes, why are we racing in the middle of the day at Richmond when it's got lights on it? I mean, the Richmond race has always been better at night. Always. Why'd we go away from that? And so why are we having tracks that have lights that don't have a night race? That we only have a day race? I mean, I don't understand it. You know, we need to go back to more night racing, especially in the summertime. You know, tracks that have lights ought to have night races. And I don't understand why we don't have more night races like we did. There was a time back in 2013 and 12, and actually from 01, or basically from 2000, I take that back. I take all that back. From basically 90-something, from the middle 90s, pretty much all the way up to like 2015, 2016, we had night races. And here lately, we've been going away from night races. So, what's your all's take on tracks that have lights that don't have night races? I mean, 50% of the tracks we go to have lights. And NASCAR is quicker than a sticker to call a race before they even know what the weather's going to do that following night. You know, Martinsville added lights in 2017. Great addition. It's got a night race. But do we run it at night? Not often, just in the spring. Tracks that have lights: Darlington, Martinsville, Richmond, Bristol, Daytona, Wilkesboro, Rockingham, Charlotte, that have lights. Let's run a road course at night at Charlotte. that would be phenomenal. Because, I mean, what's the point of running a road course that has lights in the middle of the daytime? Granted, if it rains, God forbid, start the race an hour or two early. Understand, I get it. But your tracks that have lights, use the lights on the tracks. So, what's your all's take on this? If y'all think that NASCAR needs to have more tracks that have lights, if y'all think NASCAR needs to have more races than tracks that have lights, hit me up in the comments and let me know. Also, like and subscribe to this video. And I just wanted to let you guys know, here coming up is Michigan Motor Speedway. So if y'all give me a like and a comment, subscribe to my channel, Dirt Track Boys. Here at Dirt Track Boys, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to comment with y'all. Now, I'm very serious about getting this channel up because I'm passionate about NASCAR, and I'm very passionate to talk to you guys about it. And I want to get more good reviews on all my videos. Every video I post from a NASCAR race, like it, subscribe to my channel. You know, please do, because I would love to hear y'all's comments and subscribe to my channel. I mean, I'm not doing this just because I want, just because of my health. I'm doing it for y'all. Kind of like DJ Wayne, Adventures. I want y'all to give me as much support as y'all give him. Now, granted, he lives in Charlotte. Granted, he lives in Mooresville, North Carolina, so he gets more footage of stuff that I can't. But I'd love for y'all to subscribe to my channel so we can have the resources to do more videos, and get this channel up where I want it to be. So if y'all could just like and subscribe to this, Dirt Track Boys. Anyway, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to hear from you. And here at Dirt Track Boys, we love you. And I'll try to review after the next race. But anyway, peace out. I love y'all. Dirt Track Boys out.